From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun.
Hello and welcome tonight. It's a royal welcome for President Bola Tinubu and First Lady Oluremi as King Charles III hosts them to a grand ceremony in Windsor Castle. Also extend the Nigerian leader full military honors. Nigerians excited over landmark visit, hopeful of a renewed diplomatic relations and fresh opportunity to boost trade and investment. Political parties struggle to meet INEC deadline on party primaries just as the Labour Party suspends 25 members over alleged anti-party activities. And Muslims around the world to end the Ramadan fast on Thursday as Saudi Arabia declares Friday as Eid al-Fitr. On sports news, Senegal calls for independent international investigation into alleged corruption following the Confederation of African Football's decision to strip the country of its AFCON title and award it to Morocco.
And on business, Central Bank of Nigeria nears 3 trillion naira in NCB auctions in just 2 weeks amid surging Africa debt.
And from the nation's capital, safeguarding the nation is top priority for Nigeria's service chiefs as they move to restore order in Maiduguri 24 hours after presidential directive.
Indeed, you're welcome to the news at 10. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. The climax of President Bola Tinubu's state visit to the UK is a state banquet, which is ongoing as dignitaries of both Nigeria and the UK are attending the event this evening, put together by the British monarch King Charles and his wife, Queen Camilla. Earlier in the day, the leaders of both Nigeria and the United Kingdom met at Windsor Castle, where the president and his wife were hosted to a dignified ceremony complemented with full military honors in a colorful event described by many as a royal affair. This is the first visit of a Nigerian president in 37 years.
Britain rolled out the markings of a state visit to welcome President Bola Tinubu and the First Lady Oluremi Tinubu at Windsor Castle on Wednesday. The president's car arrived in front of the castle where he and the First Lady were greeted by the Prince and Princess of Wales and other senior members of the royal family. It is the first Nigerian state visit to the UK for 37 years, the last being head of state General Ibrahim Babangida in 1989. Other state visits have occurred in 1973 with General Yakubu Gowon and Shehu Shagari in 1981. Unlike other state visits of heads of state, lunch has not been scheduled between the two leaders as President Tinubu is observing the Ramadan fast. carriage procession brought the King and the President into the Windsor Castle quadrangle, where they were met by a guard of honor and the band of the Grenadier Guards, which played the Nigerian and British national anthems as they travelled round the square. President Tinubu then ceremonially inspected the troops on display, with King Charles walking a few steps behind. After which they both retired, walking hand in hand into the castle to continue with other aspects of the state visit. State visits are a way of building relationships between international partners. President Tinubu's visit will see a strengthening of economic ties and more cultural and diplomatic partnerships. Amarachi Ubani, Channel Television News.
There's more from the President's state visit to the UK, and our London Bureau Chief Juliana Olainka also spoke to the Director of the Met Police in Sikan Etuk and popular comedian Sheyi Law on the sidelines of the state visit. Now, both say they are excited about this landmark event, which took a lot of hard work and planning to achieve.
Well, look, this event has been a long time in the planning. There's been a lot of work been done in order to make it the success it was today. You've seen some amazing moments. It's been a momentous moment for the community, the Nigerian people, our Nigerian community, the diaspora over here, our families back home, and it's been a momentous for the UK as well. We've spent a considerable amount of time working alongside the community in order to make sure that we got things right. And I'm just, as a Nigerian, that's a proud moment for me to be here to celebrate this moment. It's 37 years in the making.
It's something good to be a part of this historic visit after 37 years. You know, it means that in the Committee of Nations that belongs to the Commonwealth, Nigeria is regaining its rightful position as one of the giants. It felt more than spiritual. It's renewed a sense of Nigeria's greatness. First, the moment the carriage was coming, and the moment Mr. President and King Charles' carriage walked into the platform, the national anthem of Nigeria went off immediately, and there was this great sense of belonging that we are here as a great nation. The moment I heard the sound, Nigeria, we hail thee, and then I saw Mr. President beaming with smile and waving to Nigerians and people of other nations who have come to welcome him. That gave me so much joy. I'm very proud. In fact, there is only a Yoruba word, statement that can quantify what I'm feeling right now. And that word is, in Yoruba, it says, Toba Geshinu mi o ni kose. It means if you ride a horse inside of me, your horse will not stumble.
Talk politics now, and back here in Nigeria, where the National Caretaker Committee of the People's Democratic Party, led by Abdurrahman Mohammed, has restated conditions for any reconciliation with the Tanimu Turaki PDP group. Speaking at a news conference on the preparations for the March 28th PDP National Convention, the National Publicity Secretary of the committee told journalists that the continuous existence of that committee and the execution of the planned convention are sacrosanct to any reconciliation. The Abdurrahman Mohammed Caretaker Committee of the PDP is planning to hold an elective convention in Abuja on March the 28th and 29th to elect substantive principal officers for the party.
we had initially informed the representative of the Kabiru group who attended our last NEC meeting that whatever is going to be their written proposals, two things will remain sacrosanct. That is the existence of this caretaker committee and then the conduct of this national convention. So irrespective of whatever reconciliation that is likely to happen, it will not affect the conduct and processes leading to this convention. We have concluded all state congresses in line with the judgment of Justice Omotosho that before we can proceed with any convention, we have to conclude all congresses, and we have just finished that with Plateau yesterday.
Still talking politics, the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party has suspended 25 members for allegedly engaging in anti-party activities. The suspension was announced after a meeting of the National Executive Committee in Abuja, where they also passed a vote of confidence in the leadership of Governor Alex Otti of Abia State. And the party's NEC in session also approved and ratified the guidelines for the conduct of wards, local government and state congresses and the National Convention, as well as plans for the amendment of the party's constitution.
We looked at the membership revalidation and new registrations of the party, which we needed to ratify today in NEC as a body. Now it was ratified that we adopt a hybrid, both physical and manual and e-registration. It was well captured and approved by the NEC. Then the report of the Peace and Reconciliation Committee, Disciplinary Committee, and the motion for NEC decision on it was considered, and some of the state chairmen were suspended in cause of that due to gross misconduct and party indiscipline. The Labour Party constitution, because the constitution we have right now is not too regular for an adoption for an effective service delivery of the party. So we're looking at amending our constitution, and the report was handed over, and we looked at it, and considering the fact that after a little while during our convention, we're going to ratify it as well. The schedule for party primaries, the dates, and all those were discussed extensively and maturely handled. There was no rancor at all at the end of the day. Vote of confidence was passed on our national leader, Dr. Alex Otti.
In part two, after the break, Federal High Court Lagos convicts 10 Filipino sailors for importing 20 kilograms of cocaine from Santos in Brazil into Nigeria. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you have just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. It's a royal welcome for President Bola Tinubu and wife Oluremi as King Charles III hosts them to a grand ceremony in Windsor Castle. Nigerians excited over President's visit as they hope it brings renewed diplomatic relations while boosting trade and investment. Political parties struggle to meet INEC deadline on party primaries. Labour Party suspends 25 members over alleged anti-party activities. And Muslims around the world to end the Ramadan fast on Thursday as Saudi Arabia declares Friday Eid al-Fitr. The Federal High Court sitting in Lagos has convicted 10 Filipino sailors and their vessel MV Nord Bosphorus for importing 20 kilograms of cocaine from Santos in Brazil into Nigeria. A statement by the Director, Media and Advocacy of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the NDLEA, Mr. Femi Babafemi, says the conviction is coming barely 4 months after their arrest and following the seizure of the cocaine on board the ship at the Apapa Seaport in Lagos. A 4-count charge was subsequently filed against the vessel and its crew members by the NDLEA's Director of Prosecution and Legal, Teresa Asukwo. The defendants all pleaded guilty, and following a plea bargain agreement, Justice Ayokole Faji ordered the vessel and its crew to pay a total fine of $6 million and 1.1 million naira as restitution and penalty respectively to the federal government of Nigeria. The Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of the NDLEA, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, says the conviction serves as a huge lesson to international drug cartels and their local collaborators that Nigeria's territorial waters are no longer a playground for illicit narcotics trade. So let's now head to the nation's capital, and Millicent Walker is standing by to give us the latest from our Abuja studios. Over to you, Millicent.
Many thanks, Ayatunde. We begin in Borno State, where the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, is promising that the federal government will work harder than before to restore total peace in the state, the northeast and Nigeria. The Vice President made this known in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, when he visited to commiserate with survivors of the Monday evening bomb explosion that killed over 20 persons and injured over 100 people. Vice President Shettima condemned the attack and insists that no religion supports the killing of persons.
No matter how long the night is, it must give way to the light of the dawn. We are eternal optimists, so we'll work harder than ever before to see that world peace is restored. And the government, through the National Emergency Management Agency, I'm here with DJ. She's a mother. She's a housewife, but she has abandoned her home to be with us here to render succor and support. The Northeast Development Commission is also on board. And of course, the chairman of SEMA, the energetic deputy governor, is also here with us. We render support and succor to the bereaved families and to the sick and wounded. But we want to assure the people that we will not rest on our oars until full peace and sanity is restored in Borno, the Northeast, and the nation as a whole.
Nigeria's Vice President Kashim Shettima. Meanwhile, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Olufemi Oluyode, has assured the people of Borno that the recent tragic incidents that claimed lives in the state capital will not happen again. General Oluyode disclosed this when he arrived in Maiduguri in company of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidi Shuaibu, on the directives of President Bola Tinubu. He further asked residents of Borno and Yobe states to assist in providing relevant information to security agencies in the region.
The Chief of Defense Staff, General Olufemi Oluyede, and the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidi Shuaibu, arrived Maiduguri Air Force Base at 10:30 Wednesday morning. He is received by the Theatre Commander of Operation Hadinkai, Major General Abdulsalam Abubakar. They proceed to the headquarters of the Joint Task Force, where he inspected a quarter guard mounted in his honor before proceeding into a closed-door meeting with the senior military personnel of the Theatre Command. Briefing journalists after the meeting, the Chief of Defense Staff promised an end to the attacks, urging residents to take ownership of the conflict by providing useful information to the military.
Why I'm here today is to ensure that in future, this will not repeat itself. So we're looking at modalities, we're looking at lessons learned so that in future, this will not repeat itself. But I must say something here that's very important. This challenge is something that we've been going all around for the past 15 years or thereabout. And I want to put it out here clearly this afternoon that for us to end this act of terrorism, the people of Borno State and Yobe State must take ownership of this problem. Because the bulk of the people perpetrating these heinous acts are from these states.
On the use of drones by the insurgents during attacks, General Oluyede explained efforts are underway to halt the operations.
We're actually looking at the kind of technology they're using so that we can do research and development of it and see how we can, improve on it and checkmate what they are doing.
The arrival of the military service chiefs is expected to provide more vigor to the fight against the insurgents and give hope to residents of the region.
Well, elsewhere, the Inspector General of Police, Olatunji Disu, has presented checks totaling over 2.43 billion naira to 1,075 beneficiaries and next of kin of police officers who died in active service. Speaking at the event in Abuja, Mr. Disu says the disbursement, which covers group life assurance schemes from 2018 to 2026, is a moral obligation of the police to honor fallen heroes and support their families.
Senior police officers, families of fallen heroes and members of the force management team of the Nigeria Police Force gather at the force headquarters for the disbursement of checks to next of kins of personnel who died in active service.
To the widows, children, parents and relatives of our departed.
The presentation, which is the first by the current IGP since assuming office, forms part of efforts to address delays in insurance payments and reinforce the force's commitment to the welfare of its personnel.
As Inspector General of Police, the welfare of officers and men of the Nigerian Police Force remained one of the central pillars of my administration. A police institution that calls upon its personnel to make high sacrifices must equally demonstrate responsibility and compassion towards them and their families. This ceremony therefore represents more than presentation of financial benefits. It is a solemn acknowledgement of the courage, commitment and ultimate sacrifices made by officers who serve this nation with honor.
The force insurance officer highlights the instructions of the new IGP on the prompt payment of claims.
This presentation reflects the determination of the Inspector General of Police, who on assumption of office made it clear that the welfare of officers and their families must not be compromised. He specifically directed that insurance company engaged by the force must ensure the prompt settlement of claims and warned that any insurance company found to be deliberately delaying or frustrating the payment of claims will be blacklisted from handling insurance business of the Nigerian Police Force.
Following the disbursement, the Police High Command declares that it will sustain reforms aimed at improving welfare, transparency and service delivery, while continuing to honor the memories of officers who paid the ultimate price in serving the nation.
And while the police chief addresses the welfare of officers, the FCT Police Command is again assuring residents of the FCT of effective and adequate security ahead of the Eid al-Fitr celebration. Speaking in Abuja shortly after a show of force around major districts of the nation's capital, the Deputy Commissioner of Operations, Ishaku Sharu, says police personnel have been adequately deployed to forestall unpleasant situations.
Members of the FCT Joint Security Team are here at the Eagle Square as they prepare to patrol the city ahead of the Eid al-Fitr celebration. From the Eagle Square, the team set out to Lugbe along Airport Road before proceeding to other parts of the town. The Deputy Commissioner of Operations speaks on the essence of the show of force.
As part of our strategic security measure to enable worshippers celebrate this Eid al-Fitr peacefully, we have come up with different layers of security arrangement, ranging from,
the eat praying ground. The security is adequately fortified. The event centers, we also have our deployment. We have expanded security meeting with all the sister agencies. As you can see, it's not only police that is here. Every other security component, the military, the civil defense, the NDLA, every other security component is in this movement.
For persons planning to threaten the peace of the nation's capital, the Deputy Commissioner leaves a clear message.
We have crime-mapped the city and even the outskirts, and we have known all the criminal hideouts. The raiding is ongoing. We have raided all those black spots. A lot of suspected criminal elements are in our custody. And we still storm those areas. Deployment is huge. The instruction is from the area commander to the divisional police officers to ensure safety and security. With all this crime mapping, we have known all those areas and we are good to go.
The show of force by the FCT Joint Security Team, made up of all security agencies in the nation's capital, is aimed at deterring potential criminal elements from executing their nefarious activities.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Central Bank of Nigeria nears 3 trillion naira in treasury bill auctions in just 2 weeks amid surging Africa debt. That's on Business News. Please join us again.
And infrastructural development in the nation's capital. Speaking during an inspection tour of some projects in the territory, Mr. Wike called on residents who are having issues with real estate developers to direct their complaints to the Federal Capital Development Authority. Our correspondent, Kumbi Abuluade, reports.
It has become a routine exercise for the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, to embark on the inspection of projects in the nation's capital.
Your Excellency, good afternoon.
He begins from Karu's satellite town, where a 13-kilometer road construction is underway. It then proceeds to the Apokarshi Road, where a road project is also under construction. He makes his final stop at a road construction linking Buhari to Kubwa satellite town.
A massive excavation is going on here. And
he takes his time to interact with the residents of the area.
I'm not going to support the company, so I'm going to finish the whole time. And I deserve the best.
He also spoke to the media on some of the issues from the inspection.
We're happy with what we're doing because the people are happy. When the people are happy, obviously I have no choice but to be happy. It means that the government is very impactful, their lives, the economy will change, and that's all about good governance.
In the light of reports of fraud by estate developers, the minister urges residents to send their complaints.
Estate developers who will always maybe not do their own bargain and try to extort money from innocent citizens. For us, when we have such complaints, obviously we know what to do.
So Nigerians can report to the FCDA?
Of course. In fact, there are some complaints that have come and we have been able to tackle it by making sure that the estate developers return funds to the innocent Nigerians that try to collect money from.
He gives a charge to FCT residents ahead of the Eid al-Fitr celebration.
In the period of everybody working together, I would think that the residents of FCT should continue to support the government and will expect more infrastructure. In terms of security, we are going to improve the security as it is today. So I wish everybody a happy Ramadan.
The minister has promised to embark on more projects that will impact the lives of residents. From the nation's capital, Kumbi Abuluade, Channels Television News.
MTN Nigeria Foundation has launched the call for applications for its 1 billion naira Yellowpreneur Initiative 3.0 matching fund, a program designed to empower women-led micro, small and medium enterprises across the country. During the media parley in Lagos, MTN Foundation and Bank of Industry executives partnered to support and encourage female entrepreneurs to help develop skills and access financing for scaling their businesses.
Mr. Oluwatoyin.
MTN Foundation brings together women breaking barriers and building businesses as it launches Phase 3 of its Yellowpreneur initiative, which is part of its commitment to job creation and sustainable development in Nigeria.
When the vision of the Yellowpreneur was brought forth, it complements capacity building with access to capital for women. And it's because we realize that capacity building can enable them grow their businesses.
Beneficiaries share how the initiative has helped their businesses grow and expand into new markets.
We are all excited. Why is that? MTN brings us together to showcase our product. So far, from the first phase to the second phase, in fact, each and every one of us here, we have benefited so much. It's been impacting us. Possibly our business has grown from the little we started. I can tell you that we've expanded. Personally, I've really expanded in my business.
In partnership with the Bank of Industry, BOI, the foundation invites female applicants and introduces a 1 billion naira matching fund to improve their businesses.
March is the month for women, and the theme for this year is Give to Gain. And you know that MTN is passionate about women, and our focus is women development. We believe that when you train a woman or when you empower a woman, you empower a whole nation.
This particular one between MTN and the MTN Foundation and BOI, like you heard, is a 50-50 kind of collaboration. MTN has put down 500 million. Bank of Industry is matching that 500 million to form a billion naira portfolio to be disbursed to women business, partly in terms of capacity building, and out of which there is some sort of competition where 1,000 women will be pre-qualified, and the best 200 ideas will go home with a loan of at least 5 million naira each.
In our work to support businesses and deliver solutions to businesses, we found a gap of discovery, which is why we designed and built the SME Veil platform in partnership with Smidan. The idea is that it's a consolidated place where every business can go, particularly small businesses, to get the information they need to scale their business.
For 2 years, Yellowpreneur has supported women-led MSMEs across the country. The initiative has trained 5,754 entrepreneurs, with 122 receiving loans worth 301 million naira.
It's time for business news now with Will Ibom.
Thank you, Ayotunde. Well, the Central Bank of Nigeria has raised about 700 billion naira in today's Treasury bills auction against a set target of 1.05 trillion naira, bringing total short-term borrowing to nearly 3 trillion naira within 2 weeks. And the auctions have seen strong investor demand driven by active yields as the Apex Bank moves to manage liquidity and stabilize the financial system. Meanwhile, S&P Global Ratings projects that Africa's sovereign borrowing will hit $155 billion in 2026, with a large share expected to go towards refinancing existing debt. Analysts say the trend highlights rising debt pressures across the continent, even as governments continue to rely on borrowing to support budgets and economic activity. Still in Nigeria's power sector, we see that the sector remains a major economic concern despite cost-reflective tariff plans. The government still needs to cover a large share of electricity costs, raising questions about sustainability. Professor Yemi Oke, an energy law expert and member of the Presidential Committee on Grid Assets Management, told our Business Morning program that reducing subsidies is necessary to allow the government to focus on other critical areas of the economy.
Spend a lot of money through power sector subsidy. People thought subsidy was only in the petroleum sector. No, we had too many subsidy in the energy sector, the corpus of energy sector generally, including petroleum and gas and power. But now we've done away with the petroleum and gas subsidies. We are now still tied down to a kind of subsidy in the power sector, which after should be gradually brought down and reworked so that we can free those national fortune to develop other critical areas of our national economy position. It is not prudent that a government will be spending minimum of 2 trillion naira per annum on power sector subsidy.
Now, outside our shores, the U.S. President Donald Trump has issued a 60-day waiver of the Jones Act, allowing foreign flag vessels to move oil and fuel between U.S. ports. The White House confirmed the decision today, Wednesday, and the move is aimed at stabilizing oil markets and easing pressure on domestic fuel costs amid the ongoing conflict with Iran, which has disrupted global energy supply. The waiver is a rare step in U.S. shipping law, and while it could help improve logistics, analysts warn it may have limited impact on prices. The administration says it is intended to keep energy supplies flowing and reduce further volatility in the oil market. Now, speaking of volatility, we head to the domestic equities market, where profit-taking by investors dragged the all-share index down by 0.69% ahead of the Muslim holiday. Here's Inichon Mekwa with the details.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, the market has just obeyed the natural law of trading. So today we saw that investors decided to take some of the profit they've been accumulating over the days, and they took out 908 billion naira at the close of trade, and that has brought us down from 130 trillion naira level to 129.118, and for the all share it's down 0.69%, losing that 202,000 level to close at 201,156.83. And we see the major contributors to this, the figures, the big guys in the financial sector, they did that. So FBN Holdings, we saw almost 2% down. UBA, GT Co, 7.41, that's a huge one there. Access and Zenith Bank, they all experienced profit taking. And when we look at the sectors, it's not just the banks, that have done this. So while banking is down following all of that, consumer goods barely escaped this because of Guinness mostly. But look at this big one, oil and gas. Well, whatever they want to do, they always do it in a huge way. So oil and gas is down almost 0.5%. Japan Gold, Aradale, Eternal Oil, they went down today. Saw a lot of profit taking. So for the first time in a long time, we have the bear.
Thank you, Ini. I see you throwing shade at the energy stocks. So let's see how other major equities around the world perform today. And that's business news. I am Will Ibong. Is back to Ayotunde for more on the news at 10.
Many thanks, Will. Saudi Arabian authorities have declared Friday, March the 20th this year as the day for the celebration of Eid al-Fitr, after confirming that the crescent moon was not sighted. Eid al-Fitr marks the end of Ramadan, the Islamic holy month of fasting, prayer and reflection observed by millions of Muslims worldwide. Here's Simon Pewes with more international news in Around the World in 5 from our London studio.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Iran says it will take decisive action after its South Pars gas field was reportedly hit by Israeli strikes. South Pars is part of the world's largest natural gas field, with both Qatar and Iran operating facilities in the area. Iranian media says no one was injured in the attack, which Qatar called dangerous and irresponsible. Earlier, Iran confirmed that the country's intelligence minister, Esmail Khatib, had been killed in an overnight strike. It comes a day after an Israeli airstrike which killed Iran's security chief, Ali Larijani, one of the Islamic Republic's most experienced and influential policymakers. Meanwhile, large crowds gathered in Iran for the funeral of Iran's top security official, as well as Gholam Reza Soleimani, the head of the paramilitary Bashk force. It was also held for the 84 sailors killed when the US sank an Iranian warship, the Iris Denner, with a torpedo on the 4th of March. A sanctioned Russian tanker loaded with liquid natural gas is drifting out of control in the Mediterranean, with no crew on board and a gaping hole in one side, prompting warnings of a serious risk of a major ecological disaster. An official in Italy, one of 9 EU countries to write a joint letter to the European Commission urging action, has called the Arctic metagas an environmental bomb waiting to go off. The tanker, part of a shadow fleet transporting sanctioned Russian oil and gas, was badly damaged in a suspected sea drone attack near Maltese waters earlier this month. Prosecutors in the trial of Marius Bjorg Høiby, son of the Norwegian Crown Princess, have requested a jail term of 7 years and 7 months, arguing he should be found guilty of 39 of the 40 charges he is accused of. The 29-year-old denies the most serious charges, which include 4 counts of rape as well as serious assault. The trial, which began in early February, is due to come to an end this week, and the 3 judges will then retire to consider their verdicts. Høiby maintains that he had consensual sex with all 4 women before the alleged rapes took place. His defense lawyers were due to begin summing up their case later. King Felipe of Spain appears to have helped thaw frosty relations with Mexico by acknowledging abuses carried out by his country during its conquest. During a visit to the exhibition dedicated to indigenous women in Mexico in Madrid's National Archaeological Museum, King Felipe said there had been a lot of abuse during the conquest of the territory that would become Mexico. The arrival of Spaniards in America from the late 15th century spread Christianity and the Spanish language across the continent, while also causing the death of many thousands of indigenous people through military action and disease. President Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico has welcomed the comments as a major step forward on an issue that has caused diplomatic friction between the 2 countries in recent years. Venezuelans around the world are celebrating a historic baseball victory after the country captured its first ever World Baseball Classic title. The team defeated the United States 3-2. The win comes at a time of political turmoil for the country following the US government's seizure of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro during a military raid in January. And St. Patrick's Day has brought bagpipes, drums, and plenty of Irish people out onto the streets in cities across the world. Over the weekend, the Chicago River was dyed a bright emerald green, a tradition that began in 1962. Organised by local plumbers, the eco-friendly secret formula powder turned the water green for several hours.
First of all, I think, notwithstanding what has happened, the transatlantic relationship between Europe and the US is very, very important on a number of...
President Donald Trump took part in St. Patrick's Day festivities himself, hosting Michael Martin at the Oval Office. Celebrations were held around the world to commemorate St. Patrick, the patron saint of Ireland. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. The Director General of the Nigeria Institute of Sports, Philip Shaibu, is reiterating his commitment to improve medical care for Nigerian athletes as he seeks stronger partnership with the private sector to deepen their care. Speaking in Abuja shortly after hosting the management of an Abuja-based hospital, Mr. Shaibu says there is a need to improve the medical care of Nigerian athletes. According to him, the partnership will focus on addressing medical tourism for athletes and revamp some of the institute's dilapidated infrastructure.
For over 18 to 20 years, I have never been disappointed with the referrals I've made to Alliance Hospital. So at this time of NIS coming back to life, partnering with them is going to be with the speed of light because of what I've seen, the growth that I've seen in Alliance Hospital in terms of not just physical infrastructure, but in terms of the kind of successes they've recorded in terms of their surgeries and medical things. So as a public figure, I'm always sending people and I go to check. So it's coming here today is one of those blessings that we have been praying for.
The Senegalese government has called for an independent international investigation into suspected corruption at African football governing body after it stripped the Teranga Lions of the 2025 AFCON title and awarded it to Morocco. In a statement, the Senegalese government said the unprecedented and exceptionally serious decision was based on a manifestly erroneous interpretation of the regulations, leading to a grossly illegal and deeply unjust decision. The Senegalese Federation had said it would appeal against CAF's decision at the Court of Arbitration for Sport, calling it an unfair, unprecedented and unacceptable decision which brings discredit to African football. And Catalan giants FC Barcelona stormed to a 7-2 victory over Newcastle United to reach the Champions League quarterfinals, winning 8-3 on aggregate. German Bundesliga champions Bayern Munich hammered Atalanta 4-1 to reach the last 8, winning 10-2 on aggregate. Liverpool bounced back from a first-leg deficit after beating Turkish side Galatasaray 4-0 at Anfield to secure a spot in the quarter-final. And Tottenham Hotspur crashed out of the tournament despite beating Atletico Madrid 3-2, but eventually losing out 7-4 on aggregate. In the Asian Cup, two-time champions Japan put on a masterclass to sweep past South Korea in the semi-final in Sydney. West Ham's Riko Yiki and Tottenham's Maika Hamano scored in the first half, with Saki Kumagai and Remina Chiba adding to the tally after the break. It was a dominant display by Niels Nilsson's world's number 8 team, who had 3 more goals disallowed and a warning shot to the Matildas. Japan now meet Australia in the final at the same stadium this Saturday.
The top of the woodwork, though. 74th minute, another corner for Japan, and this time they do find the back of the net from the dead ball, putting Japan in a very, very strong position.
And the main news again. President Bola Tinubu and First Lady Oluremi received a royal welcome as King Charles III hosted them to a grand ceremony in Windsor Castle and extended the Nigerian leader full military honors. And Nigerians have expressed excitement over the president's landmark visit as they hope it ushers in renewed diplomatic relations and a fresh opportunity to boost trade and investment between Nigeria and the UK. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun, and do have a good night.